Welcome back to the Next Step In podcast, where we explore education, workforce, and what it really takes to build Indiana's future. Today, we have a very special guest. We're welcoming IU Bloomington student Landon Kirk. Landon is here to talk to us about his experiences at Indiana University, especially during a historic year for the football program, and about how he prepared to go to college in the first place. We have offered a lot of advice on this podcast, but today you're going to hear it directly from someone experiencing it. So let's break it down. Join us as we take that next step together. Welcome to the Next Step In podcast, Mr. Bobbitt. This is episode 8, and this is a special one because we actually have someone, we've been talking a lot, right? We've been giving advice. We've been doing a lot of things about college and about how you should get ready. But now people can stop listening to the unks in the room, and we can actually listen to somebody that's going through it, and we can talk to this wonderful guy named Landon Kirk.
Absolutely, yeah. Landon was a student at New Albany High School a couple years ago. Got the opportunity to meet him, learn more about his story, and we'll get into it. But I will tell the listeners, if you have a young person who is headed to college or they're in college, and you need some advice on how to communicate and connect with them, you got to listen to Landon Kirk. The kid was a dog in high school when it came to applying for scholarships, staying on top of it. He was always on it, and it paid off for him. But we'll get into that here in a little bit. But Landon, really appreciate you jumping on. You're the very first student that we've had, either one of us have had, that's been on the pod, man. So you're setting the tone.
Yeah, I'm honored. Appreciate you guys for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we're going to start kind of simple, just kind of a little bit more about you, Landon. So where did you grow up and kind of where are you at now, and kind of tell us a little bit about your story.
So my entire life, I grew up in New Albany, Indiana. Went to New Albany High School. Always grown up an Indiana fan. So the decision really was more about, the money wise on, going to a big school like Bloomington. I knew that's always where I wanted to go. So, that's where I would excel. And so definitely, the scholarships and everything was big for me. So I had to stay on top of it and, and able to be able to go to the school I wanted to. And so that's really more about me. That's where I grew up. Indiana has always been, my passion. I love everything about sports, football, basketball, all the above. So grew up on it, really.
Well, funny you bring that up. I'm going to go ahead and go there, Mr. Bobbitt, because I've got this right behind me. I had this book for you because I knew you were a sports fan. This is 100 things that every Hoosier fan should know before they die. And I feel like we're about to write a new chapter in this book. And I don't know for sure if a basketball jersey is going to be on it on the next version. So you are at IU during probably the craziest time that I can remember. I know for sure during the football dominance so far this year. Talk to us about that. How's it been on campus, just being at a university during this time where you have this resurgence, or maybe the first time ever surgence?
I'm going to say it's not a resurgence. It had to happen before in order for it to be a resurgence.
That's a good point. So tell us about what your experience has been like at IU during this historic year.
Yeah, it has been absolutely unbelievable, I think is the word you can only really describe it as. I've grown up IU fan. I've supported football and basketball my entire life. Football's just always been like, yeah, we'll turn it on if it's on. And, basketball, I've always been a pretty diehard fan, even though I haven't gotten to see the glory days yet of basketball. Closest I got to that was Trace Jackson Davis. But football, I came here my freshman year and we hired this new coach. And I was like, it looks like this guy has won everywhere he's been, but, this is the bigger stage in the Big Ten where we have Ohio State, we have Michigan, and all these teams that kind of run it. And he stepped in full force. I remember being at the basketball game that Kirsten Eddy walked in and said, Purdue sucks and so does Michigan and Ohio State. I'm like, this guy is absolutely insane. Like, what is he saying right now? And he has held literally everything. Last year was disappointing. Not getting into, not beating Notre Dame because it's always good to beat Notre Dame, but you can't be disappointed when your first year is going into the college football playoffs as the new head coach of the Indiana Hoops. So it was unbelievable. This year, he has exceeded every expectation possible. It's I can't even get into words like what he has done for this school. It is unreal. We have Mark writing blank checks to our football.
Well, that's helped for sure. And Landon, I just got to ask you: do you think your students understand it? Do you think that your peers? Do you think that they understand the significance of what's going on this year? Does everybody kind of know?
I try my hardest to tell people, I'm like, listen, like I know that you all, like most of the like people I know up here from the East Coast, they're from everywhere because I use such a good business school. They're like, oh, like, you know, we're really good. And I'm like, guys, you don't understand. We have never been good. Like we have never, ever been good at football. We are the losingest program in football. Like we have never been good. Like you all need to understand the significance of this. And there's a lot of Indiana people here too who try to help me along the way and show these people that. But I'd say a core memory for me, and I'm hoping I get a better one on Monday, is when we beat Ohio State. It was I had a watch party at my house, and I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was like, we actually just won the Big Ten championship and beat the #1 Ohio State. And Ohio State is really good. I know Miami beat them, but Ohio State is extremely good. And we went to Kirkwood, and I've never seen everyone who was in the bars go outside to the streets and flood it. Like we had people on top of light posts. It was unbelievable. Like it's just it's an insane experience, and this school is just thriving because of it.
Oh, that's awesome. I have a feeling if they win the championship, this podcast is probably going to come out the morning of the national championship game. So if they win during this this game, I have a feeling Bloomington's population is going to triple with everybody flooding in there to celebrate. It should be an interesting night.
Kirkwood might burn down. That's definitely a possibility.
Let's not say that, Landon.
Yeah.
I don't. Let's not say that.
It's a possibility.
Well, thanks for sharing that experience. I appreciate it. And I guess, you know, we are here to talk about college, and this is a part of the college experience, right? And so, you know, I kind of was going to ask this question as kind of as a starting point. Like, at what point did college really start feeling real for you? When did in your journey did that take place?
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's hard in high school and stuff, and you're like making that transition to living alone, going to college, because most people do go away for college. I mean, I know I'm not that far from home, but still it is away. And it's kind of weird. It's an adjustment. So you get into college, and at first, you know, the first couple of weeks are just like fun. You're living on your own. You're going to classes, and it kind of feels normal. I would say around that November mark, it kind of hits you like I'm really like in college, and like I'm pursuing my career every single day. Like I choose like what I'm doing with my career. And one thing I've really realized about college that I think a lot of people should know, and this may be going a little bit off topic, is as although you're having like classes and you show up and you get it done, you get the good grade, that's not going to help you. I mean, it's going to help you, but it's not going to help you in your career wise unless you go out and you put something into it. Like college is all about what you put into it. And I've realized that is if you don't put in effort and you don't go out and you don't meet people, you don't network, and you don't take advantage of these career fairs and these clubs and stuff like that, you're not going to excel is a good word. And so I figured that out late into my freshman year, and I joined the Kelly Sales Club, and I have met so many corporate partners that I met so many people that now I talk to on a monthly basis, staying in touch, and, you know, offering, you know, internships down the road. And these are big companies and stuff like that. So, and I would never know any of this if I didn't put myself out there and meet these people and network with other people. And it's such a big thing. Like your classes are amazing. You need to stay on top of everything, but you also need to put yourself out there and grow in college. And I think there's so many opportunities, especially through all Indiana programs. They're really good about it.
Man, I love hearing that. And I think I remember some counselor at your old high school saying college is how you go. It's not how you or where you go. It's how you go.
Yeah.
Right. And that's exactly what you're doing is you're taking the curriculum, but then go putting it into practice. And that's what we got to do. And that's the conversation that we constantly have with our young people is the importance of building your social capital and networking. And it's not all about who you know, it's who knows you.
Yeah.
And in order for that to build, you have to get out there. Now, you talked a little bit about getting involved at IU. Tell the people a little bit about what you were involved in high school, because that's a lot of questions that people give us of like, what should my students be involved in for scholarships and whatnot? Talk to us a little bit about the activities you were involved in high school versus your first couple years in Bloomington, what you're involved in now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in high school, I really tried to be involved in just about anything, especially senior year, because this is kind of your last rodeo with everybody that you've kind of grown up with. And so I kind of wanted to take over this whole student section thing. That was a big thing for me. It hasn't been great in the past. And I think we kind of set the tone for the classes now that, you know, do a pretty good job with it. Really getting people out to these games, you know, supporting your other students is huge, but also doing it in fun and, you know, a safe manner is more important. And so going out there and getting that student section back to what it should be was amazing. And I know, the football players and me as a basketball player absolutely loved it when everybody would travel and, come to these games and just support everybody. And it made it a lot more fun playing in those games. So that was huge. And that was a great experience to get everybody together. And I learned a lot from that, on how to get different personalities at these games. Because, there's a lot of different people in high school and some of them don't like sports, but you got to put stuff out there that makes them want to come. And, they probably end up liking it and having fun no matter, what kind of person you are. So that was big for me. And that was one of the main things I was involved with. Another thing that honestly really excelled my scholarship wise was being an office aide. I know this doesn't sound that interesting, but being up there, talking to Bobbit on a regular basis. And I mean, you can still do this not being an office aide. Bobbit's door is always open, or any of the counselors really, and just talking to them about how to get, how to be better about this scholarship. Or, I remember I had Bobbit proofread a lot of my stuff and he would tell me, what not to put and what he didn't like and stuff. And it really helped me a lot. And I definitely just keep applying to scholarships. I know there was one or two scholarships I got just because no one else applied. You don't understand the significance of just applying. Some people just don't apply and they don't put in that work, and then the money just goes to the first person who applied, but you just got to set in, in the more competitive ones, you just got to separate yourself. And if you don't get it, you don't get it. But there's so many opportunities. You just got to keep applying to every single one.
No, I mean, I think that's well said. I think the only bad thing you had going for you was that your senior guidance counselor at the time was also a Notre Dame fan and was probably, really, really upset with you. Although he's wearing crimson today. He looks nice in the crimson, I will say.
Those look nice.
I'm trying to rep for you guys.
You look good.
And I want to say this because Landon is too humble. Not only did he help turn around the student body and the student section at ball games, but Joe, you may not know this. When I made my on-stage debut as Bailey Stone with New Albany High School Theater, it was in front of the Dog Pound because Landon Kirk had the student section at a theater performance.
Yeah, that was fun. That was one of the more fun student section rallies we had. That was pretty good.
I love it. See, those things matter. I love that. So academically, obviously, I know that you had probably a lot of dual credit, or you had some dual credit. I'm kind of curious. You tell us about kind of how much dual credit you had when you started at IU. And I'm just kind of interested in what made you first hear about dual credit classes and what made you decide to try them, and then take it a step further. And how has that helped you now that you are a student at IU?
Yeah, I think New Albany, this is biased, but I think New Albany is really good about, getting dual credit out there, really showing the importance of it. I know a lot of my good friends in high school, it was the normal really at New Albany. It's you were involved in dual credit. And all people thought it's for the smart people, but really, these dual credit classes are for anybody. You go out there and you can get this stuff done. And it really has helped me a lot in college. Going into college, I would have to take a lot of prerequisites if I didn't do that. And just a lot of little classes that really don't mean much for your degree and that you don't really want to take when you can take them in high school. And so taking those in high school really helped a lot and helped me, get a early start on my career. And especially in some harder classes through Kelly and stuff, it is difficult.
Have you thought about how much it might have saved you financially too? I just wonder if you had thought about that. Hey,
No.
look, these credits are, I've got them out of the way now, and that's going to be less I'm actually going to have to pay for as a student at IU.
Yeah, a lot of people don't think about that. And I didn't really realize that until this year. I actually had a teacher this semester in the syllabus talking about the importance of coming to class. And he was like, I want you all to think about this as a statistic. You are losing about $90 per day you don't come to class. And so you think about that and it's wow, showing up matters, and, taking these classes early when you can at a way cheaper, rate is definitely important. If you can get those out of the way and they will be accepted to your college, 100%, there's no reason in this world you should not take it. Even if you have to take a summer course through Ivy Tech and stuff, it's so much cheaper than taking it through college. And it's really, you get the same credit. And most of the time it's a class that isn't really going to help you in your degree. It's just something you need to have done for that degree.
Right. Now, and I agree. I think at our high school and many high schools in the state of Indiana do a really good job of the early college program and setting up dual credit opportunities for students. And obviously the financial benefit's huge. Landon, talk to us a little bit about, has there been a moment where maybe you were in a class and maybe New Albany High School's curriculum or the dual credits that you had, it helped maybe helped prepared you, or maybe it didn't. But talk to us a little bit about in class moments that you've noticed, like, oh, I'm prepared for this because of the dual credit opportunities.
Yeah, I would say there's two different scenarios for this. One was in economics. You know, I didn't take microeconomics with our really amazing teacher Pierce Moomaw at New Albany. I didn't take it through him, and I should have, because it would have really helped me in the economics here at Indiana. So he told me at the time, he was like, "You need to switch into this. This is going to help you at IU." I was like, "Whatever." I didn't take it. I should. Nothing against Ellis. Ellis was an amazing economics teacher, but it definitely translated directly into the course at IU. And I know a lot of people at these Indiana schools go to IU, so I would 100% hop on microeconomics if you can at your school. And that's a dual credit course. 100% recommend that. I didn't, and Kylie Mumal absolutely excelled past me in class, and we had the same class, and so I did all right, but I could have done way better if I was in that. So that's one scenario where I should have, and I realized it late. Another example is just, I wouldn't say necessarily the course material, but the way the courses ran, like a college course in those classes, really helped me get ready for college. Like there were some classes where I was like, I've been doing this. I've been doing this note taking, and I've learned these strategies through high school. And so translating it to college was easier. If I didn't, and I took, some of those other classes that may have been easier at the time, it would have been harder as a transition into college, and I would have had to get more prepared. So obviously, like, nothing traumatic, but definitely helped, and definitely recommend taking those dual credit courses.
Was there any time back in your high school career that when you were taking those courses, on top of being a student athlete, on top of being involved, that it felt too overwhelming?
I really would say no. I think you really have enough time for it. It's not like they're pushing out a lot of hard stuff on you. Obviously there's going to be challenges with it because it's a dual credit course and it's a college credit. But it's really nothing unbearable. And like I said, I was pretty involved. I was busy a lot of the time. And I really rarely had homework. I really stayed on top of stuff in school. And you take advantage of those hours in school that you may have a little bit of study time, and you just get that stuff done. I think it's really not too hard to manage. I think everybody really can do it.
That's awesome, Landon. And I'm just kind of curious from my perspective. So, when you made that transition from high school to college, how did you feel like that transition went? Like, was it pretty seamless? Did you feel like you kind of hopped right into it, or was it a little bit jarring, or just kind of? I'm thinking about other people that might be listening that maybe are a little anxious about, what is that going to look like when I make that jump to college? Any tips or advice, and kind of how that played out for you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's definitely a jump. It's different. You're on your own. You're out there. You're living alone, and it is your responsibility to show up. No one's forcing you to go to class, and no one's forcing you to get out there and get involved. I mean, you gotta understand. This is like, once you start college, that's the start of your career. That's where it begins. That's where the soil is. That's where you can either grow or you can stay the same. But I'd say that's the main difference. Is just no one's pushing you to do anything. Like, this is really you on your own. Although in class, I'd say it's not that crazy. Some courses are obviously going to be challenging. I've had trouble in courses myself. I in high school, I was breezing through all my classes. I got to college, and there's a couple of hard classes. Like, and I don't think you should really get down yourself about that. It's a part of the challenging aspect of college. Like, that's going to happen, and you're going to have hard classes. And sometimes those classes, just like, I need to get by in this class and I'll be okay. And sometimes that happens, and you're going to have professors that maybe don't speak your language that well and stuff. It's just that's what happens in college. You had to fight through adversity, and you getting over those challenges and fighting through that adversity really shows more true character about yourself than anything in the course probably would show. And so there's some differences, but also some similarities. Like, the courses aren't going to be that bad, but there is going to be some tough ones, and you have to show up, and you have to put in effort, and you have to put in time.
It's funny, Eddie, because I hear him talking. It's like he's listened to the podcast, all 7 episodes. It's like we've been speaking the same thing. It's so great to hear it from him. And believe me, anybody that thinks that we've coached him on this, he didn't even know he was coming on the podcast until like 2 hours ago. So
Yeah.
there's no coaching occurred here. Like, this is really good by him. So it's refreshing to hear it from you. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Landon, was there anything once you got up to IU Bloomington academically that caught you off guard, or were you good with everything?
There,
Besides econ.
I've definitely been caught off guard. There's there was a class up here that I'm sure a lot of people know about. It's the infamous K201. And so it was definitely tough because that one, there's two parts to it. I would say this is my best story, by the way. There's two parts to it, and there's the lab, and then there's the lecture. And the lab is really just learning databases, Access, and Excel. Which, if you're going into anything accounting wise or anything in business, honestly, very important to know. Not as much Access, but Excel. Excel is used every single day, and I think once you get the hang of it, it is not that hard. I struggled for the first two tests. Keep in mind, there's 4 tests, and so I'm already starting off down 2, and I'm like, okay, like I'm down 0-2 in the series. I got like we got to win out, and so going to those labs, going to the study time. IU offers amazing amenities, so you go downstairs your first year in your dorms, and you have these computers that are really good for Excel and stuff. And you go down there and you work with people. There's always people down there studying Excel. You have a good community around you, and that's how I really got better and excelled. No pun intended, but and then my last 2 tests I did amazing. I think I got 100 on both. Like it really is just an extreme turnaround if you put yourself out there. I was not studying a lot. My first 2, I thought it'd be easy once I got to the test, but the tests are timed, and you got to be done very quickly. The lab part and the lecture, I'm sorry, the first part is the lab. The second part is the lecture, and you have to be on. That's online. You have to learn how to work with a group, and so you get assigned a group, and you go out there. And I think it's always an Aldi problem. I think this year we had Aldi self checkout and how to integrate AI. My group had some challenges. We had a guy who just wouldn't show up, and he just was saying he was sick every week. And I finally had to tell the teacher, like, hey, like, I gave this guy, I called this guy. I was like, hey, like, we need you to show up, or else we are going to have to like let the teacher know, because it's not fair that you're getting points for this. And so I let the, you got to let the teacher know. And I told him, I was like, he didn't show up again. I was like, listen, we're putting in more effort, and this guy's not showing up at all or doing his part. And so he ended up getting a bad grade in the class. You have to show up, and you got to be a part of these groups. And that's big in your jobs. You're going to get, in my interview process so far, I get asked questions a lot about working with groups. And it's a big part of college, and it's a big part of careers down the road and what you want to get into.
That's a great story.
We ended up doing great in that class. We got 3rd out of 300 something teams. So we did amazing on that Aldi project. I had a great team around me though. So it's definitely learning to deal with groups is a big thing as well.
Yeah, dealing with people. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's part of everyday life, and I commend you for taking that approach. I think that you obviously it turned out well, but I know you probably had to work a little bit harder than you originally thought you were. One of the things we haven't quite asked you yet, and I know the answer, but tell everybody that's listening. So, what is your major? And I'm just kind of curious. Did it change, or did you know from high school exactly what you were going to major in? And just kind of curious how that all went for you.
So I told Bobbitt told me at the very beginning, he said, your major is likely to change. He said, it happens. It's just a part of college. I'm like, no, Bobbitt, I'm going for marketing. You can't stop me. You are never going to stop me. And he's like, okay, you do what you want to do. And I go in, and my major has changed. My major is now in management with a minor in marketing and professional sales, pursuing a career in like medical device or pharmaceutical sales. So
sales is a great job. I'll tell you, it's so funny because we did a study recently at the university that I work for, and it was something like 70% of college graduates have some sort of sales job, something related to sales as one of their first jobs right out of college, and that can span the gamut. But sales is such a huge piece because it's all about relating to people, and it's about creating a return. So that's awesome. And I guess the moral of the story is Mr. Bobbitt was right.
Mr. Bobbitt has been right about both. Bobbitt was actually the person who told me to go into sales. He said I would be really good in this. He actually told me more specifically, you'd be great in pharmaceutical sales. I'm like, Bobbitt, what even is that? And so he set me up with another counselor's husband, and I went on a ride along with him, fell in love with it ever since. I've absolutely loved it. I actually have an externship coming up this summer with AbbVie, pharmaceutical sales company. I go out there to Lake County, Illinois, be there for a week, and then the last couple of days I interview for their full-time internship. And then this year I'll be working with a med device company near Jeffersonville for an internship. So Bobbitt has been 100% right. And it's actually kind of unbelievable how right he's been.
Joe, if we could like snippet that quote right there and just have that playing on a reel on loop.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that, Landon. And you're going to crush it no matter what you do. But definitely in pharmaceutical sales, you're going to go next level with it. And for those who are ever question if I ever know what I'm talking about, that's proof, right?
Yeah.
Every now and then I'm right, just every now and then. But Landon, quick question about your study habits. Like I know that you were on top of everything in high school. Have your study habits changed at all at IU Bloomington? And if so, how?
For sure, a big thing for me, and no one who has ever like known me would think this, but I actually do own a planner now. I I write stuff down, and that's how I really stay on top of things. Is now I never would see myself with this, but I every day before I go to bed, I write what I'm doing the next day, what I need to accomplish, what I need to accomplish that week. That really helps me stay on top of absolutely everything, and that's been a huge transition for me. More so this year, but yes, that's a big change for me. Studying wise, in my planner, it helps me show like my study blocks when I have time to get stuff done, what I should get done in this period of time. And that helps me because I keep it on my desk. That helps me from, like, oh, I just got done with class. I want to go lay in bed. It's like, okay, well, let's get this done at least first before I chill out for a little bit. And then, that helps me not fall behind. Like I know I have like what, 2 assignments to do today, and I'll get that done before I get to watch any football later on tonight.
It's
So
good stuff. You don't know about this about me, but Joe can vouch for me that. And when we were in undergrad, my planner was so important to me. I took it everywhere. And one time we went seeing a friend up in Greenwood, Indiana, and we left the friend's house and we drove and we got on Vincent Street. We're by White Castle on Vincent Street, and I realized I had left my planner. And I took a left and like, where you going? I was like, we're going back up 65. And they're like, for your planner? And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to start the week without my planner. It was that important.
Yeah, it definitely helps you stay organized.
That's awesome. I mean, it's really good. And one of the things you talk about being organized, I think it transitions well to thinking about something that a lot of people who are listening to this podcast may be worried about, and that's kind of that scholarship and that financial aid journey, right? Because again, it's what the payoff is if you put in the work, but you still got to pay for the classes, right? And that can be daunting sometimes to think about that. So I'm just kind of curious, like when did you first start thinking seriously about scholarships? Was it before your senior year, or were you just kind of, and there's no right or wrong answer. I'm just curious to see because I think students take different paths and you can always recover. But when did you really start thinking seriously about scholarships and about college?
Yeah, so I pushed it off until really my senior year, and then I kind of got here, and I knew that like I talked to my parents in the past, and my dad was really pushing on. My dad's a huge IU fan. He's really pushing on, like IUS is cheaper, it's closer to home, like that'd be more affordable for everybody. And I'm like, I completely understand that. And I said, I am willing to help if I can get to go Bloomington because Bloomington is huge for me. It's a big part of my life. I think it's going to help me grow as a person. Not saying that IUS is bad at
No,
all. I
sure.
think it's going to help me grow as a person, getting out there and meeting, a wide scale of people and living on my own for a little bit. And it definitely has helped me a lot as a person. Um, I've met some amazing people up here, connections I wouldn't have if I wasn't up here, being involved in that sales club and stuff like that. It's been amazing.
No,
Uh,
it makes a lot of sense. I mean, honestly, and it's actually refreshing to hear you say that. You know what? I didn't really think about it too much till I got to my senior year because I think it's a good reminder to people that it's not too late. Because I think sometimes people do get into their senior year, and obviously Mr. Bobbitt can speak to this more, but they feel like, oh, it's too late now, and so what they do is they shut down even more, and they don't think about, oh, it's too late. I can't do anything. And you're living proof of that you can as long as you put in the work and that you do it. It's probably easier for some of those people that started a little bit earlier, right? Maybe they had a little bit of a leg up, but you were able to catch up and still able to turn some scholarships. Would you agree with that, Eddie? Is that, I mean, it's never too late, even when you get in your senior year.
No question. And I equate it to you're running a marathon, not a sprint, right? And you just got to stay on top of it and stay on top of it. Uh, but it is definitely not too late if you're a senior. Now, if you're a sophomore and junior, and you know that you want to go to IU Bloomington or another school in the state, and you're going to have to come up with tuition, we have to start thinking about what classes we're taking, how we're going to differentiate ourselves from our peers, right? You're not creating a competitive environment per se, but you need to be looking around your classroom and saying, I'm competing with these people for these dollars. Like this is my competition. How do I stack up? And then through that self reflection, then we can make some behavioral changes or some involvement changes so that you can become more competitive come senior year when you're receiving 1,000 emails from your guidance counselor about applying to scholarships.
yeah.
So speaking of that, so what is the hardest part of the scholarship application process, Landon? What was the hardest thing for you?
opening up your email and clicking on it. I'd say that's
Yeah.
really the hardest part. Is people just look at it and they're like, "Oh, I'm just not gonna even like click on this." And it's like it's pointless really not to. Like it some of them may take longer. You gotta write an essay for it. I know like the Lily one's a little bit longer. You gotta put some time into that. But some of them are literally just clicking, checking a couple boxes. The local awards form. I cannot stress enough how easy that form is. And people don't like I know people who didn't touch it. And that I got like I think the Caesars scholarship through that one. And that one's 25 like 100 a year. And that I mean that helps a lot. And so people literally the hardest part is just getting started and getting the ball rolling.
I swear
So
people are going to think we paid him to say this stuff. This
I'm
is
telling
so
you,
great. This is
land
so refreshing.
landing the check's in the mail, sir. The
Yeah.
check is in the mail. So as a counselor myself, let me get some advice from you. What could I do in my profession that would get students to take the next step to apply for scholarships?
I don't know. I feel like you do a pretty good job. I feel like you're pretty you stay on top of it and let people know. I mean, you're sending multiple emails. I remember one time people weren't responding to your email and you started the subject line with something about Taylor Swift. And I think everybody in the school was like, what is this guy talking about? He's talking got Taylor Swift in the subject line, and more people did open it. And Bob was just out there trying stuff at this point.
All right, well, that's some good advice for Mr. Bobbitt. Hopefully, he'll continue to get better at that. But it's funny that you bring it up. I mean, I think that is so much of it is just kind of paying attention, right, and being out there. And so that's good advice for those that are listening. Just kind of paying attention to what's going on and maybe to what your guidance counselor is or isn't saying. And if you're not getting a response, make sure that you reach out to them and let them know too. I think that's pretty important. So so we kind of talked about this a little bit, but what advice would you get students who think I won't qualify anyway? My parents make too much money, or I won't get this scholarship. Like, do you have any advice for them on kind of that type of thinking?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's really just not a good way of thinking and put it in the slightest. It's just like most of these scholarships, I'd say until you get to financial aid and FAFSA, people don't really don't really care what your parents make or where you came from, your background or anything. They want to know more about you as a person. And so these scholarships are just saying if you fit, most of the time it's named after somebody and maybe they did amazing achievements and they want somebody who fits kind of in that role and the personality. And it's really just about you and how you fit into that role and how you're involved in high school. I think being involved is a main thing. They want people who are outgoing, involved, staying on top of their classes. Obviously they care about grades. But some scholarships are different. They're like, they want to help people who maybe aren't as involved and need help getting involved and need help getting out there and wanting have these big dreams, but don't have, the money and stuff to do that. That's why they're here is they're wanting to help those kind of people. I think scholarships are for everybody. There's a scholarship for everyone, you know, in the school system. And I think it's just about applying, getting going. I can't stress that enough. It's just like, if you are thinking about, oh, I want to apply for one, just keep applying. And the worst thing that can happen is that you don't get any. But the best thing that can happen is that you get a lot or you get a couple. And, it really can make a difference. One scholarship can be thousands of dollars. Imagine if you get multiple of those and you apply for every single one.
Yeah, and you said it earlier. I mean, even just the one $2,500 scholarship, I mean, it takes a lot of pressure off. I mean, every little bit helps and it adds up. So I think that's a great point. So I want to get back on the IU Bloomington. So I love what you said earlier because I really think it's kind of something a lot of people go through, right? They think about, hey, I might be able to go to my local regional campus, or maybe I can go to the big flagship campus, or maybe I look at it in a private school, or but they're really kind of thinking about what kind of campus environment's right for them. So I think I know the answer because you've alluded to it a little bit, but why did you choose IU Bloomington? What was really the real draw that led you to IU and the main flagship campus there in Bloomington?
I would say my main draw to Bloomington was just that I've always been a diehard IU fan. It's a little different for me just because I've absolutely grown up on IU my entire life. Same kind of situation, just a different scenario with one of my best friends that I've grown up with. And he went to Kansas. Like he went to IU for his first year, realized that, hey, I'm really passionate about Kansas. I'd rather go there. My parents went there and he has the ability to go there. And so he transferred to Kansas. It's never too late to transfer and go somewhere else that you think you would be better at. And that's just living proof of that as well. But he absolutely loves it up there, and I think he's doing better as a student and as a person up there than he would be down here. There's always a college out there for, someone. IU has a really good business school. That's another appealing thing is that I'm really into business, and that's what I want to go into down the road. And so, there's a bunch of different amenities here that help with that, and they are stronger in their career fairs and getting these corporate partners, and they have really strong relationships. And those things are all important when you're going to your college. But definitely the main thing for me was that I absolutely love Indiana. I love Indiana, basketball, football, I love sports. And this is just in the absolute prime time to be here at Indiana.
Oh my god, I'm jealous as could be. Of all the times that you could be there and to be an IU student, like you're gonna have some stories for the rest of your life, and I can't wait. I hope the stories are yet to come, even for your experience. But so tell me about your first week on campus. Was it exciting, terrifying, both? Like you move in. I mean, of course, you're about what, two or so hours away from your hometown. So what was that first week like for you?
First week was definitely a little mix of both. It was very exciting, but it was also a little terrifying. You don't know really what to expect going into these classes. I remember my first class at IU ever was business presentations. Luckily that day we didn't have to show up in a suit, but like that was the expectation in that class is you show up in smart casual wear. Um, and you're ready to present, you're ready to learn how to present. And it's really just about like the teacher's going to go up there and they're going to teach their knowledge. And a lot of people don't understand that these professors are not only, good in education, but they have been out there. Most of these professors have been out there, they've done the walk, they've done the career that you probably want to do, and now they're back teaching you about that career. And I realized that late my freshman year, but most of these professors are like great in what they do. Like, my accounting professor was in a huge auditing firm for a long time and stuff like that. Like these people have been to obviously I'm not into accounting, but the big four, they have been in that role that you want to go into. Please listen to them. Like they know what they're talking about. And a teacher isn't just a teacher anymore. These are actually people that are literally professionals in their field. That's why I guess it's called professors. So
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because one of the things that you had talked about, or at least you talked about being very involved in high school, and it sounds like you were pretty outgoing, and you didn't have any problems, talking to other people, and obviously being a leader in the student section, and kind of being that type of person. But how did you kind of find your own people there at the campus and your own sense of belonging on campus? Because I assume you get there and you may know a few people that also went from your high school, but a lot of new people to meet. How did you find your own sense of belonging and the people that you wanted to associate with? And I'm just kind of curious, do you have a new friend group just that you just, met through college?
So yeah, I live in a house now in Bloomington, and I live with one of my roommates who also went to New Albany. He's one of my better, friends that we known for a long time. So I've definitely kept some of my close friends. My friend who went to Kansas, still close with him. One of my other friends who went here last year, who also went to New Albany, now goes to Louisville. So I definitely stay close with like my, that small circle of friends that, from New Albany that we will always remain close for the rest of our lives. But coming here, I've met so many great people. I was lucky enough to join a fraternity up here, and that's helped me, really meet a lot of new people and be a part of a sense of a different group of people and learning a lot about people from all over. I have guys in my fraternity that are from, one's from Dubai and a couple are from East Coast and
Wow.
some are from, a bunch of different parts of the state. So it's amazing. It's really a great experience. And then sales club, there's one guy in there that went to New Albany, and he kind of got me involved in that. But the rest I've met through there, and they're just amazing people, like-minded people, wanting to succeed and wanting to help you succeed. The mentorship and stuff in there is amazing.
Well, it's funny you say that because that's one of the biggest things, working at a university, we talk about it. We call them high impact practices. And it's like getting a student involved in one area that they really feel passionate about. And for you, it sounds like it was sales club. If you can get them involved in that, they're much more likely to be retained and to succeed if they have that sense of belonging. If you can get them into something that they really see the value in and that they can connect with. And I think that that's just such a great lesson for anyone listening. It's really preparing your students, or preparing, if you are the student, to think about that. You don't, the worst thing you can do is go to college and sit in your dorm room and not go out, just to go to class, and that's it. That's those usually don't end well. Loneliness can kick in. There's a lot of different things that can happen, but if you can get involved somewhere where you feel like you have a sense of belonging and you can find your people, it really changes the game. And I assume you would agree with that kind of
Mhm.
sentiment.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, yeah. Have you used any of the resources? I'm just kind of curious, like advisory and tutoring. I mean, any of the resources that have come up through IU that have helped you in your first year there, first 2 years there?
For sure. Especially advising is, you want to stay on top of it with your advisor. Um, and, obviously you don't in college, it's more of like you schedule your own classes and stuff like that after your freshman year. Um, but still you need to schedule a meeting with your advisor every semester and talk about, hey, let's get a plan going for what I need to schedule next semester, what I kind of need to get done. You all go over your chart, see what you can fit in, how many hours you should take, uh, what do you want to graduate early? Do you not want to graduate early? Stuff like that. Staying on top with your advisor is amazing. My advisor is great, and so that's helped a lot. And kind of they send you an email, and they also send you a video recording of what you all talked about, and then you have your classes. And so, bang, you're like that when you're able to schedule classes, and when that time slot drops, you just go in, you schedule everything, make sure everything works, click submit, and then you're all good to go. So staying on top with your advisor has been the main thing for me. Tutoring wise, I use it a little bit. Um, More so, I've used peers, but the tutoring up here I've heard is amazing. I've used it a little bit. Office hours I use more, but there is definitely a bunch of different people.
No, that's a great. I mean, those are great things. I mean, your peers, I think, are sometimes better than. I mean, great when you have a professional tutor, but peers can be just as good. And then also, you talking about the office hours, which is huge. A lot of students. I mean, you don't know what office hours are, right? And so, just I would say, anyone listening to this podcast, talk to your student about what office hours are and how you need to go to them if you have questions. They're there for you, and that's something that can help out a lot, which I love. So, what's one myth you think about college that's out there that IU quickly proved wrong to you? Is there anything out there that you thought about?
I think sometimes teachers try to scare you in high school, and you're like, oh, like this is not going to fly in college, or you're not going to be able to get by with this, and you're going to have essays on top of essays on top of essays and stuff, and it's like it's definitely exaggerated. Like you are going to be fine as long as especially if you're doing well in high school and you're staying on top of your stuff in high school, you're going to be fine in college. Do not be worried. It's going to be an adjustment. There's no, you know, sugarcoating that, but you are going to be okay as long as you're pretty persistent and you stay on top of your stuff and you're encouraged to grow in college. I think that's another thing. Is like picking something that really interests you is really important because then you're more likely to show up and wanting to actually get better at that subject and go to these classes and learn.
I'm kind of curious. This is kind of about your own kind of reflection and like, what's one thing that you're really proud of yourself of navigating on your own throughout all this this journey? Have you thought about that or had time to reflect on that yet?
I mean, not really. I would say if one thing I'm really proud of is just kind of fighting through all the adversity. Like I mean, Kelly obviously has cuts and stuff like that. It's getting more competitive each and every single year. I think last year it was a B plus. This year it's like an A. Like you have to have an A if you're pre-business and if you're not direct admit. So it's difficult, especially when you're seeing those guys that are direct admit getting C's and still being okay because the C is the lowest you can get as long as you are staying Kelly. And it's tough because you're putting in all this effort and don't get discouraged if like you don't make that mark. Like I didn't make that mark. And I would say I'm more involved in Kelly more than most Kelly students. Like my degree is in a different school through management, but I'm still, I'm learning everything about management through basically the same way I went through Kelly. And my minor's in Kelly, which is another big thing is, stay involved in Kelly and then Kelly Sales Club. Like I mean, I'm really involved in Kelly still, even if it's not like this. So it's definitely tough at first. I was very disappointed, and you just got to keep going. And I would say honestly, I am in a better position than I would be if I was, if I made that cut. Like I've learned so much more and gotten so many more opportunities and stuff, and it's pushed me even harder to get out there, which I probably wouldn't have had as much, drive if I
That's
did
a
make.
great way to look at it, and kudos to you for looking at it that way because I think that is, and I think it's a good lesson for everyone, right? Like adversity is going to come, adversity is going to happen. I mean, there's no doubt about it in college. And how do you roll with that, and what do you learn from it, and how do you use it to motivate you? Because you could have easily just folded up and could have been like, "Yep, I'm done. I'm going to come back, and I'm not gonna, this my plan didn't work out. I'm not going to roll with the punches." But you didn't, and I think I think that's admirable, and I think that's probably what some of the other students that you're around that are being successful have done, right? That the path's not always going to be linear, and we talked about that a lot. Eddie, you preach that forever.
Yeah, no question. And in those moments, you got to realize that things are going to get hard, and you got to choose hard sometimes. And through that, you're going to become a better and stronger person, and that's in the classroom and off. We can't look at every adversity as it's what we got to look at every adversity as it's helped shaping us who we need to become.
So I'm going to ask this. I'll go ahead, Landon. You go ahead.
I was going to say, like, one of my favorite professors that I have up here, his name's Dennis Spartan. He lives by a quote every single day. He starts class every single day with a quote, and one of the ones kind of stuck with me is choose your hard. And like you just said, like, it's hard's going to come, adversity is going to come, and it's just about choosing, what's your hard going to be that day.
It's a great quote. It's an awesome quote. Eddie, I'm going to ask this last question, and I want you to prepare for this rapid fire session that I'm pretty excited about. You doing the rapid fire question. So, but while he's getting that queued up for you, Landon, to really put you through the gauntlet, if you could go back and talk to your high school junior self, what would you tell the younger Landon Kirk?
I'd probably just say, I honestly, in all honesty, I would not change a thing. I think that going through the process, facing different battles and stuff that I had to go through, and just facing that adversity made me to who I am today. And I think if I would tell myself a shortcut and stuff, I wouldn't be as strong as I am today. So I honestly really wouldn't change anything. I would say you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Landon, you ready for rapid fire?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Greatest IU basketball player of all time?
Steve Alford.
What's the one thing when it comes to college you were overprepared for?
Overprepared? Ooh, I don't think I was ever overprepared for college, honestly.
What's one thing you were underprepared for?
Definitely economics. That was very tough. Economics was very, very tough, especially I had a difficult professor. So you got to be prepared for those difficult professors.
Favorite class in high school?
Favorite class in high school was office aid. I learned a lot in that class.
Best study spot at IU?
Wells Library.
Okay. Best coffee spot at IU?
Probably Soma. It's right down the street from me right now, so I'm kind of biased, but it's a pretty good coffee.
Okay. Hardest class so far, other than econ?
Probably, I had to take one law and public affairs class, and that was really hard because I'm not like a law major. It was like a prerequisite, and it was really tough. I got by, but it's definitely pretty tough.
It's rumored that Kirk Cignetti has eaten 500 Chipotle burrito bowls so far this year. What's your favorite thing at Chipotle?
I'd say the sour cream and vinaigrette mixture. I'm new to this. I don't like sour cream, but I mix those two together. I saw it on TikTok. It's amazing. It's really good.
Best advice you've gotten so far since starting college?
The best advice I've gotten so far was probably from Bobbitt, and it was just let it happen. Like, no matter what's going on, just face that adversity. And like, he told me that I was going to face adversity. I was like, nah, I'm going to be fine. Like, there's no way I don't get a great grade in this class. And it all happened. And so it's going to happen. You're going to face adversity, and it's just about getting by. You can either sit down with that punch, or you can get back up and come back even stronger. And I think that's what I did. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Metaphorically, but like Mike Tyson said, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, and then you gotta adjust, right? Well, awesome. Well, what's the last bit of advice right now that you would give current seniors who are getting ready to do what you did a couple years ago and go off to a 2 or 4 year college or university to pursue their professional and academic aspirations?
Yeah, I'd say the last piece of advice, and I think I've touched on it already. Number one, get the ball rolling. Open your email. That's a huge thing, actually, is get in tune with your email. People told me this, and I never touched my email, and I'm still not great at it, but you got to be on top of your email, because that's how people send you stuff. That's how you know if you don't have class that day. That's how you know whatever is going on really in, your academic side of things is all through your email, especially with Bobby. I think he tries to get you all going on it early, because you have to stay in touch with that in order to get these scholarships started. But like I said, number one, get the ball rolling on scholarships, get close to your email. And number two is don't stress. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, and everything's going to happen, and everything happens for a reason. And just fight through that adversity.
It's great stuff, man. The last question I do have for you, score prediction for IU Miami.
Indiana 45, Miami 20.
Oh, love it. And I would love it. And I would love if that worked out that way. And so I got a question, a follow-up question on that. So, okay, look, I mean, this is probably going to come out the morning of the national championship game. So I'm sure all the IU football players are going to rush to listen to the Next Step In podcast, as they should, right? So what advice do you have for them to be successful and to be Miami? Because I know that you've been breaking down this film and you've been watching the game and you know how we need to beat Miami. So what advice are you giving them?
I'd probably just tell them to just keep doing what they're doing, stay locked in. Fernando probably won't see this because he does not have any social media. What an absolute stud that guy is.
Oh.
He only has LinkedIn. Just an absolute beast on and off the field. Though I could talk about Fernando Mendoza for a very long time. You don't get many of those guys around. He literally does not touch his phone. His brother runs his Instagram, and he only has LinkedIn and YouTube on his phone because he loves watching YouTube film. And another fun fact about him, he watched film with his high school coach during lunch every single day. What a nerd. This guy is an absolute football nerd. Like, he loves this game.
And he's probably going to the Raiders, Landon. I don't know how I'm going to make that work in my head that he's going to be a Raider.
He might not even go to the NFL. He might just be an investment banker. He might drop out of the draft and go into investment banking. If you looked at his LinkedIn profile, this dude's an absolute beast in what he's doing.
I love it. I love it. Well, you're a beast too, Landon, and you're going to do
Yeah.
great stuff as well. So don't shortchange yourself. I mean, I'm sure you can't throw the football like Mendoza, but hey, you got your skills too, man. And hey, we can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy, time as a college student, and I'm sure there's a million things you need to be doing. But we really appreciate you taking time out to talk, because this is going to go out throughout the state of Indiana. There's going to be a lot of families that are helped by hearing your experience. So we appreciate it, and I hope that you are proud of what you've accomplished and what you've done, and we appreciate you being on here.
I appreciate you guys for having me. This is great.
Yeah, for sure, Landon. Keep crushing it. I'm proud of you. We all are at New Albany High School. We're proud of you. Can't wait to see all the success that you're going to have at IU. Continue to have at IU and beyond.
For sure. I appreciate it, guys. This is great.
Well
I
said.
love what y'all doing.
Well, thanks, Landon. We appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this to wrap up the podcast. You're listening to Next Step In. Well, Eddie, I think you have a lot to be proud of, man. Landon was awesome. He did a great job, and I think he's, so proud, obviously, of the work that he's done already, both in high school and in college. But man, that's an impressive young man and somebody that's making the best of what they've got here at Indiana and at Indiana University, and I think it's going to have a bright future.
No question. He's a classic example of grit and tenacity and what can happen if you have those two and you put in the effort. As I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, he was an absolute dog when it came to the scholarship process. And too many families and students do get overwhelmed because it is a lot. But if you have a system in place, if you are setting up time each week, maybe 12 to I tell students, pick a time frame, 8 to 2 or 8 to 10 on this day is when I'm going to apply for scholarships, or whatever that time is for you that's convenient for you. Set time aside so that you can work on these. And as Landon mentioned, there's so many that there's a low count of applications because students either don't know, they don't care, unfortunately, or they get overwhelmed by it and they kind of shut down.
No, I mean, it makes complete sense. And I was just struck by his maturity too. I feel like I'm sure he was like that even in high school. He probably was, a little bit ahead of his time, but I just felt like he has really figured it out and kind of knows what he wants to be. And the thing that I think and you kind of hit on this a little bit too, is like rolling with adversity. Like, I love the fact that kid is unflappable. Like, I feel like he could run through some things and things could happen, and he's got his mind right. He's going to pivot and he's going to make it happen. And I think that if I had to classify, I think the culture and the values of Hoosiers, I think that is something that I love, and I see more often than not is that people figure it out, right? Like, they're not gonna, like, that's kind of a trait that we have, right? As a society, like, we're not gonna let something knock us off. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna adjust, and we're gonna get it done. And I love that about it. I feel like that Hoosier culture, that Hoosier value, is definitely instilled in that young man.
Yeah, and that's exactly the values and the culture that we have to have right now in higher education. We got to figure some things out. We are facing a lot of adversity right now when it comes to policies and trends that are happening right now on our campuses. But we have to, figure it out, roll with it, and choose our hard, and continue making great opportunities for our students in the state.
No, you're so right about that because there's so much change that is going on, right? And there's so much innovation that has to happen in the space, and I think that a lot of people, shy away from that because change is hard, right? And but the only thing harder is not changing, and what does that lead to? And it leads to a lot of bad things. And so I think that you're exactly right. We could all learn a lesson, in probably all of our walks of lives, from Mr. Kirk there on how he's rolling with his adversity and how he's made positive things happen, and trying to keep things moving forward. So yeah, without a doubt. Well, it was a great episode. I cannot believe we're in episode 8. It's just this has been a fun journey already, and I think it's only gonna get better. And having guests like that are going to continue, I think, to really round out what we do here. And I appreciate you arranging that, Eddie, and getting him on here. He was a great guest. I think that our listeners are really going to enjoy listening to his insight.
No, for sure.
Well, if you enjoyed today's show, be sure to follow, subscribe, and share it with someone who you may think might benefit from hearing these discussions. And don't forget that, this is just the beginning for us here in 2026. We've got many more inspiring guests, insightful topics, and real conversations coming your way in the months ahead. And we appreciate that if you continue to help us spread the word. We want to help as many Hoosiers as we can. And a lot of the things we talk about here are helpful even beyond the borders of Indiana. So please feel free to share and feel free to help and shoot us a message and let us know what we should be covering that would help you. You can email the show or any of our social media channels. You can send us a message, and we'd love to have that feedback. So, as always, thank you for joining us. Until next time, this has been Next Step In, where education meets opportunity. Have a great week, Hoosiers.